Hi, I'm Jeremy Carroll with Movieguide. We're on the red carpet of Homestead, a story about resilience, survival, and redemption. Let's talk to some of the cast and crew. And Homestead is in that genre of survival, apocalyptic movies. What separates it from those other movies?
Well, I think when you see a lot of the post-apocalyptic films, they're always kind of zombie films or Planet of the Apes or whatever. Or Omega Man is what I was thinking with Charlton Heston, which is a great, great movie. This is different. This is really a what if for human beings that stay as human beings. And on a Christian side of it is what are you prepared to do if something horrible happens to help humanity more than just helping yourself? So for me, it was really just a wonderful message. I love being part of films that have a message. And with Angel Studios and all that we've done together, this is our third project. We have The Shift, now this, and we have The Last Rodeo coming out in May. I'm very happy being at Angel Studios. I couldn't be happier. And the projects that they allow us to keep doing and the stories we get to tell, the only place I could ever do it is at Angel Studios. So thank you.
Awesome. And your character is kind of like that rock, that solid thing, bringing everyone together. Why is that important for, like men and other people to see up on the screen?
Well, I think it's good to see that all-American type of guy who's done very well in life, but now he's pressed to, what are you going to do with all of your money and all the things that you've hoarded? Are you going to share it with your neighbors? Are you going to keep it for yourself? And you'll have to watch the movie to see what happens without giving any story points away, but it really is a great commentary on who we are as human beings. And if we truly are God's children, shouldn't we be rooting for one another because we're brothers and sisters in the eyes of God? And that's kind of the message that we have in the film. And that's the message that the McDonough Company's been doing in all of our films as of late. And we're so blessed to have this kind of run. So thank you, Lord. Long may it keep going. I'm humbled.
It's funny because in the storyline, you hear like Jason, who's penned the whole thing. He really takes pride in putting the pieces in that they miss always in these kind of post-apocalyptic stories. So I think in this particular story, you're going to find a lot of character idiosyncrasies, like the depression, like the onset of depression that nobody really talks about. If there was a post-apocalyptic experience, people would get severely depressed because life as you know it is completely different. So this little things like that I think make this story really genuine and really unique. And so I'm excited for people to see that and to sort of gravitate towards that.
Yeah. And talk about your character in the movie. Like what does she experience and seeing throughout this whole experience?
She is the heart of the Homestead. And I think the purpose of her character is to create the contrast between what fear does and what faith does. And she is the representation of the faith part.
There are a lot of tender moments. There's a lot of things and a lot of moments of love that are blossoming in the midst of the end of the world.
And talk about your character and what she kind of goes through in the whole scenario.
So I play Claire Ross. She's the daughter of Ian Ross, who's the owner of the homestead. And so the concept of being prepared is not new to her, but obviously the reality of it all happening is new to everyone. And I think she just seamlessly, slides into her role of helping out with gardening. She helps out with all the agriculture. She's also very nurturing. She's a good friend, and I think she's also going on this personal journey of discovery, and while the world is ending, her world is kind of just beginning in a way. She's falling in love for the first time, and I think that's kind of a really beautiful thing to see is, something blossoming while the world is ending.
And why is that important for audiences to see like that hope, that glimmer of hope in like a terrible circumstance?
I mean, I think we watch movies to have hope and to leave being affected, to leave the movies with some sort of palpable feeling. And I think that's the most important thing about Homestead is that in the midst of the ultimate tragedy, which would be the end of the world, she finds a way to find the light and be the light.
There's no zombies, there's no monsters. It's really all about like the family and the community. Yeah.
And why is that important for audiences to see, kind of like people coming together?
Oh, because like that's what holds us together. Like that's how the world started, and that's how it should finish too. That's the only thing that keeps us going. We can't do this on our own, and yeah.
Talk about your character, what he goes through, what he experiences.
It's very like self-centered into making a really big mistake, into finding peace through other people, and and then finding that community within. So yeah, it's crazy. I learned a lot from my character of like just how I want to play myself in life. So yeah, it's amazing.
In the end, we're not here for ourselves, we're here for everyone else. And a lot of apocalypse movies you see, it's about one person or one family trying to make sure that they make it out alive. And where the spin on this one is, we are trying to make sure that everyone makes it out alive and everyone has what they need to succeed and get out of this together. And I think, yeah, that's the difference here. Yeah.
And talk about your character, kind of what she goes through in the whole scenario.
Tara, has a great background, obviously coming from military, and she's very familiar with her husband and things. But I think that between her and Dawn's character, the women are really moving this movement to make sure that everyone is safe and that we protect what we need. And for me, like, finding Tara was not hard. I have that kind of training. I enjoy being kind of a strong character. I love, supporting everyone on the cast, which is what we had. So I had a blast. I love her. Yeah.
Awesome. And this movie's got that heart to it. It's about like supporting others. Why is that important for audiences to see?
I mean, don't you think in the world that we're in right now, instead of just being for ourselves, we should be for everyone else? I mean, obviously it's great to be for you, right? Champion yourself, but if you have the opportunity and the means, as you see with Neal's character, has the means, has the opportunity, isn't it really about giving to others? And I think that's what this movie really does. It says, let's take what we have and give. And it's kind of what it's all about, right? I want to go out knowing that I gave.
It's a realistic scenario. I think that's the biggest difference, is that a lot of these scenarios that you see, like The Walking Dead and stuff like that, I mean, it's not like a realistic, this is actually what would happen. If what happens in Homestead happens, then we have catastrophe. There's no access to food, no access to water, and people literally have to go backwards, or they have to move so far away from society that they can survive there.
Yeah.
And it's, so for me, I think it's fascinating because I like things that are closer to reality. And so it'll be interesting to see how the fandom likes it, because I think it's harsh, because it really brings up those questions about, who do you let in? Like, what do you do when you have all this stuff and then there's people outside that don't?
And along those lines, like, this is about resilience, doing the right thing. Yeah. Why is that important for audiences to see in today?
Well, it's hard because as you go into that world, you have to figure out what your value system is. And if you can carry that with you into a world where there's no civilization, then your value system works. So I'm a Christian. So if I'm going into the apocalypse, I have to remain a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still have to love people. I still have to let people in. I still have to share my stuff. I can't kill people just because I want to kill them or whatever. And so that makes me in the post-apocalypse, it's a really interesting thing. I don't know if my character's a Christian, but I do not. But I am. So I have to follow those. I have to follow the moral compass that Jesus gave me and be compassionate and loving and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Usually the strong survive in these scenarios, and we can be strong and compassionate at the same time.
Who's stronger than Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
Power. That's what my guy's all about. He wants power and control, and he wants to rule it all. He's that kind of guy. He was one of those guys, I think, it's human nature, I think, that everybody wants to have some kind of power and control. And when the guardrails are off, I think there's certain people, like the guy I play, who is desperate for it. And I think it brings out absolutely the worst in him. It's funny because someone brings out the best in this movie. This character brings out the worst in him.
And Homestead's kind of in that genre of survival adventure movies.
It is.
What sets it apart from the rest of those movies?
I think the heart of it. I think that there's a lot of things that people identify with in terms of, it's a scary world we live in right now. And to see that people can come together and share and find a way to survive, protect each other, and find their own values. When the society collapses and we don't have values, I think that people are able to come together and make their own. And then there's people like me who have zero values.
And it's about hope and resilience. Why is that important for audiences, especially?
It's identifiable for everybody, right? I mean, we all struggle. We all want to find that hope in the world. And I think that I think this movie does a good job showing that through adversity can either bring us closer together, or it can fray the edges of society, and we end up with, people like Blake Masterson. But I think in general, trauma and adversity can really bring out the best in human nature, and I think this movie shows that. I really do, and I'm a big proponent of that. We live in a city. I remember going through COVID, and how it seemed to bring people together. Or when 9/11 happened, I remember everybody was so nice, and so everybody just came together, and I think that's a beautiful part of our society and human nature if we allow it to happen.
Well, I think what makes it different is, yes, the world exists, but then we take all these different people with different backgrounds, different family dynamics, and then we put them into that world. And so it's not the world necessarily that is the main interest, it's the people. Now, the world's still interesting, don't get me wrong, but I think what's really unique is that no matter what walk of life you're in, whether you're young, middle-aged, old, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're a plumber or a doctor or an actor, everyone, I think, can watch this film and connect with one person. Whether you have faith or you don't, it doesn't matter. It's like, this is kind of a world that I believe we're creating for everybody. It's not just like, hey, you're not allowed in. Everyone's welcome at the Homestead.
Should be the tagline.
Yeah.
So your character, talk me through kind of like what he's feeling, what's he doing through the situation.
Evan Lee's pretty grounded, boots on the ground, head on the ground. His head is not in the clouds. He's not a dreamer. He's very even keel. He wants to do what's right. I would say if he ever gets angry, he tries to find the righteous anger. But he's ultimately a Green Beret who's hired as part of the security detail to protect the 300-acre homestead. So a lot of his journey comes from doing what he was trained to do and what he did serving overseas, but now you have to do it with families. You have to do it with little kids running around, with teenagers. It's just, how do you do that type of job and distance yourself when everything's right there in the homestead? So, I mean, every character's under pressure.
Yeah. And did you have any special training, any like consulting, anything like that for authenticity in that role or anything?
I mean, so I've been a stunt performer my entire career. That helped. That was part of it. I've always been, fighting. I've always trained with firearms. But, Jason, one of the writers of the Black Autumn book series, one of our writers on Homestead, the owner of the Homestead, him and Jeff Kirkham actually took a bunch of us out. And so, yeah, we were training with Jeff Kirkham, a Green Beret, doing live fire. And as a performer, I want to do everything I can to honor those that I'm representing. So if I'm supposed to represent a Green Beret, please have grace. I'm still learning. But to try and act like I've been doing it for 22, 30 years, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen overnight. But I'm very thankful and blessed by everyone who took us out, because it does make a difference. You get it into your body, and then it becomes second nature, and then I'm not trying to act like how I do this. Hopefully it just comes out of me.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And this movie is about resilience, community, faith. Why is that important for audiences to see in today's society?
I mean, no matter who you are and where you are or what you're doing, something's coming up against you, right? Some kind of heartache, some type of loss. Or maybe you're on the top of the mountain, but I mean, at some point, everyone's dealing with something that's really real to them. And I think it's important that we make content that you can connect with. Like, what I love is you can go watch a Christmas movie, go watch an action movie, go watch a thriller. All those different people watching those movies all share one thing: they all got heart. So it's like, let's explore the heart and hopefully give you a little piece of something you can connect with. And then we would love to take you to a place of hope.
So I play Doc Hodges, and I'm the doctor at the Homestead. And, a lot of us were less prepared than we wanted to be when it comes to it. And there's some things that happen that make my services quite needed. But you never are prepared quite for that emergency when it comes. So my job as the doctor was to be prepared even when we weren't prepared. Yeah. And, I think it's a good wake-up call for everybody to be ready for things as they come. And, one of the themes of the movie is, sometimes there's a choice between ourselves and our family and the greater good and larger groups of people. And that comes into play, and that's really interesting. It's a really interesting theme with a lot of good tension in this film. So
This movie has a lot of heart to it, a lot of faith, a lot of resilience and hope. Why is that important for audiences to see?
I think it's more important than ever to be able to tune into that that vein that connects us all, because we really are connected. And sometimes when we're in traffic, we forget that, people honking at us or you're honking at people, but we really are connected. And as we raise each other up, we raise ourselves up. And I think that's more important today than ever has been before.
I would like to think there's heart at every, center of every story. But I feel like there's something different here. And, as you can tell, like the show is very much about God. And I like that how they kind of sprinkle and like make it a little nuanced about that. And that's a huge part of the production side and wanting like Neal's like story. And so anyway, I really appreciate that. I think that there's a huge community that really resonates with. So I think that makes the show really different.
Talk about your character, kind of what he goes through in this whole scene.
It's kind of hard to say. I'm in the background the whole movie, so you're not really going to notice me. But in the episodes on Angel, we're kind of building him up, and he's way more unassuming than you think. He's doing things that you wouldn't guess, and I'm really excited to see where we build him. I just was talking to the director, and they were saying that the scenes ended up being amazing, so I'm really excited to see them.
And the portrayals of faith and like hope, why is that important for audiences to see?
I think it's just something that's in the core of humanity, and thinking about what you would do in a situation like that can kind of project onto our own lives. It does that for me. So yeah.
So talk about the elements that you reached into, the research you did to figure out how to tell this story musically.
Yeah. The phrase we've been using is hauntingly beautiful. So maintaining hope, maintaining the beauty, but I'm making a lot of scary sounds, because the world is very scary, and it's definitely tense, but the thread of hope is there.
Are there any like homages or any inspirations that you kind of trinkle in there a little bit?
Well, seeing as it's very boots on the ground, kind of organic. There's no electricity. We're using a lot of organic sounds. So it's very rustic. And again, very tense, but yeah.
It is in that genre, but it has a lot of heart to it. And so, it's one of those, when you're in the end of the world situation and you're wondering, do I take care of my family, or do I take care of my family and my neighbors? It's kind of a tough question. It's what if somebody has to starve? That's the type of thing that this movie tackles, and there's a lot of heart behind it.
You got great characters who are resilient, they have faith. Why is that important for audiences to see?
I feel like faith is such an integral part of our society, and it's what drives so much of what we do. And so to have a story that brings that out into the open and talks about, the faith behind our decisions, and you can live your faith even in bad times. And that's kind of the core of this movie.
Yeah. And how did this story kind of come across your desk? How did it pique your interest to get involved?
Well, Jason Ross wrote the book, or co-wrote the book series Black Autumn, and we were just exploring the possibility of adapting that for TV, and the timing was right and the situation was right, and so we did it. Here we are.
The state of the union right now with America and the world is a bit gripping, and so whether there's nuclear war or whether it's just things are hard and something happens. So literally right now we have friends that can't be here because there's wildfires in Malibu, and they're like, hey, our friend's house just burned down, and hey, what do we do about power? And so it's things like that are very real life circumstances that are why we should have survival, why we should have each other, community, things like that. And that's one of the big themes of the project as well, and in the film, is this idea of people coming together, and you can't do it alone. The lone wolves don't last. But if you come together as family, as community, there's something really powerful about that.
And this is in a genre of kind of these post-apocalyptic survival type movies. What makes Homestead different from the rest of them?
Yeah, there's no zombies, first of all, so that's something that gets asked often. But I think it being a family-friendly type of thing, it's still PG-13. There's some action and grit and gore and things like that, but it very much is something where the themes are about community and coming together and sharing and things like that. Most survival apocalyptic type films, it's everyone just shoot to kill and shoot to eat and take care of yourself. This is like, what if we asked a different type of question,
I think this movie in particular, it has heart. It's a post-apocalyptic type movie, but the storylines between the characters and the characters dealing with the outside world and their friends and family and learning how to coexist when there's no real government structure in place. I think the one thing that sets it apart from the other movies that are similar is the heart that comes along with the project. And it's the story of this homestead is actually Jason Ross's home in the story, and he's not only protecting his home and his family, but him and his wife have heart, and they want to give to the community around them as well. So it's it's them. It's not an us versus them type of movie. It's a how do we collectively work together to move forward in this new unknown world.
And why is that message important for audiences today?
Because I just feel like there's so much divisiveness in the world right now, and there's a lot of us versus them and sides, and I think a movie like this helps bring people together and helps put some of that aside. And
so you guys have something called Jesus Freaks coming up. Tell us all about that.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting this. Okay, Jesus Freaks. So it is a docuseries that we decided to start on our own. It's going to be streaming on YouTube December 28th, and we're really just documenting our lives and what that looks like in your early to mid 20s walking with Jesus, just because we don't really think that there's anything in media right now that is showing that. We have great things like podcasts and even things like The Chosen and shows that are in that time where Jesus was here on earth, but there's just nothing for our generation that can show you how to do that now. So that's our goal with it. We're really excited. It's super vulnerable, but we're proud of it. So yeah, we're hoping everyone loves it.
And we hope everyone will want to be a Jesus freak as a result of seeing it.
Say that one more time.
We hope, I was distracted. We hope that everyone will watch it and want to become a Jesus freak.
Yes.
Did you get the newsboys on board?
Talking with that.
Yeah.
So.
We were on the phone with them right before this. Yeah.
No, it sounds amazing, and you're totally right. Like, it feels like a total missed opportunity in media, and I'm so happy that you guys are able to fill that. Have you seen any response from the stuff you've been doing? Like any positive response and people coming to Christ, anything like that?
Yeah. Well, we already have audiences online that watch us, and so a lot of them have been super excited about this, and a lot of them already have testimonies of how they're like baby Christians and they look up to us, and we help them already so much just through things like Instagram and YouTube. So we're really excited that it'll just help them in that journey, especially when they are so new to Christ. And yeah, so hopefully we'll see more salvations through it. Yeah.
Amazing.
And our hope is that people who aren't even Christians will be like, oh, I don't know what to watch. I'm just going to watch some Jesus freaks live their life.
They kind of love it.
And then they find that they love the dialogue and the humor, and then they also love Jesus because of it. So.
Do you guys have any mentors or anyone that you really like to consult on theological or anything like that, coming up?
Yes, we actually do. They're here.
Yeah,
so Julie and Chris Bennett, they lead our church. And they've been wonderful, and we probably would not be doing this without them because it would just be too scary to do this on our own.
Yeah.
So we do thankfully have a support system.
Yeah, the support is really important. When you're kind of stepping out into scary things with the Lord, it's good to have community who can call you higher and just support you and pray for you. So yeah, they're awesome. We love them.
And where can everyone find you guys? Where's your channel and everything else?
Yeah. We're on all of them, y'all. We're on Instagram, YouTube.
It's Jesus
TikTok.
Freaks TV on Instagram and YouTube on December 28th.
Yes, YouTube, yeah.
So, survival situation. It's the end of the world. What's the one item you're taking with you to survive?
My wife, Reve. That was
quick,
simple. That's pretty simple.
My laptop, I have a music program on there so I can make music.
Somebody just asked me that, and I had to say Spotify.
Ooh, probably a book.
A water filter?
I'm grabbing the Chihuahua and we're going.
My glasses.
A water filter. And my wife.
My wife.
Oh, my wife.
Right answer.
Bible, knife, gun, glass, water supply. Wait, I can only pick one. Ice cream. No.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And to see the review of Homestead, go to movieguide.org.
Whoa. We're not comfortable with profanity in our house, so we're going to filter it all out with VidAngel.
You heard her! No more foul talk!
Don't skip the fight, though.
Sign up at vidangel.com to start filtering today.
If you enjoy videos that follow your values like ours and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.